Hey guys, Lane here from Maker's Lane. Today I'm going to get started on the third tier of my deck. So some of you may already know that I've been working on my deck all summer. I'm finally at the third tier now. Unfortunately, this one needs a lot more work than the other two did. As you can see, this one's not in the greatest condition. When we first got the house, it worked a little bit, but then all the plumbing ended up breaking because we didn't winterize it correctly. And that was my fault for not ever having a hot tub and not actually doing the research to figure out what you're supposed to do. So basically, nothing on it works. And it's really worn and needs a lot of TLC. I've looked all around at local repair companies that do hot tub repair. None of them knew how to work on this model. So I guess the first thing that's gonna happen is the removal of the hot tub. All right, so I already turned the power off to this thing. The next thing I need to do is go ahead and drain it. Honestly, I just gotta figure out which one of these I take off to, maybe this one? That works. Man, that was a lot of work. I want to skip all that. Alright, that's better. Now, here's what I'm going to do. Now that the hot tub's out of here, we can get a little bit better idea of what we're going to be doing with this project. I want to finish the deck all the way to match the end of the other deck, so I just need to add some supports. Then I want to take and heighten this wall and then extend it all the way over. So I'll also have an opening for stairs to go out that way. For the last thing, you might have noticed we lost a huge tree in a storm recently. This tree provided a huge amount of shade for this part of the deck. On the bright side, when I was trying to come up with a plan for this tier of the deck, I was debating between whether or not I wanted to add a pergola. And now with the tree gone, it makes that decision easy. With saying that, the next step I'm going to do, I'm going to take out the rest of the deck here that I'm not going to use, and then that way it'll give me an open floor plan for where I'm going to need to set the posts. So let's get the rest of this deck ripped apart, let's get that wall taken down. the next set of posts, where they're gonna end up because of the distance and the roof and everything like that, they're gonna end up square on this concrete pad. I was gonna take it out originally, but there's nothing wrong with it. It's solid, no cracks. So I'm just gonna use this as the platform. So I went ahead and made these brackets. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these brackets, surround the post, and then Tapcon them into here and then drill them into the post. So let's go ahead and Tapcon these in. All right, now that that's done, I can move on to the post. Now I can start on the pergola part of it. The first thing I have to do is fix a mistake of mine. When I went to go get some of these 6x6s, I wanted 16 foot. I could only find 12 in my area. They're really short of these treated 6x6s. So I ended up having to put the 12x12s in, and now I'm going to have to go back and add some height to this. How I'm going to do that is I made this bracket. Now that I have the bracket made, I'm going to slip it over the post here, and then once it's down where I want it, I'm going to add this 6x6 to the top of here. So I only need to do that on these two posts down here because they're the only ones I had to sink in the ground. Now, these posts, they're already taller than they need to be, so I don't really have to do anything here. So what I'm going to do with this one is do the same bracket, except it's just going to sit on here. It's not actually going to be functional at all. So I'm going to go ahead and finish those two, then put these on here, and then we'll be able to start building up the pergola part of it. Alright, the posts are complete, they got the brackets on. Now that that's finished, I can start framing up the top part of the pergola. So for the next step, I need to put some beams across the top of here. So I have 12 beams, 4 are gonna surround the post, so then that means I have 8 to span across. What I'm gonna do to the boards, I obviously need to make them sit down in here, so that will look a little something like that. So I'm going to be able to do it this way. I'm gonna be able to drill in from the bottom just so that they secure them. They really should fit pretty tightly, so I shouldn't have to do a whole lot to secure them. And then also for the end pieces, I'm just gonna do a straight 45-degree cut just to make them look a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. I was gonna go with something more fancy, but the wife said that she wanted something more simple, so let's go ahead and put the notch then in all the boards. now that the notch has been cut out and the angles have been cut on the boards, I'm ready to start putting them up. Whoa, I think I'm gonna need to put some stairs here. That's better. There's only a couple more things I need to do before I can move on to the painting part, and that's add slats to the top. And then these posts here behind me, I'm gonna take those and wrap those with some of these boards. All right, so now that I have everything finished, it's painting time. We're gonna end up going with 3 different colors. I'm going to paint the top part here and the post coming down and the back wall. Those are all gonna be stained a natural type color. It's a little bit off of what it is, mainly to match the table and chairs here. The other thing, we're going to paint the deck gray. And the last thing is to paint these metal brackets here. We're gonna paint those black. As you can see, I recruited my wife to help me out. She also said that she's gonna end up painting the whole thing, right, honey? So yeah, we're gonna paint the black parts here first, and then we will move on to staining it, and then finally we will finish up with painting the deck. Let's get started painting.
I came from the mud, there's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree, there's roots where I stand. Oh, I've been running from the law. Hope they won't shoot me down soon. They sing on a sleepless night. Try to catch me howling at the moon.
The deck has had a day to dry now. I want to add a couple more things before I call this project finished.
Hope they won't shoot me down soon. They sing on a sleepless night. I linger through find me. Hope you find me. I'll be back home soon. When the sunrise, when the sun.
Well, that's everything. I think I'm done building this part of the deck. The pergola with the lights and the curtains. I mean, it just really encapsulates the beauty of this property. So these brackets are actually one of my favorite parts of the whole deck. They were a complete and total mistake where I had not gotten tall enough beams, and and the actual pergola would have ended up like right at my head right now, which obviously wouldn't have been a good thing. So I ended up adding those two at the end to help heighten the beams themselves. I was worried that they might not be structurally sound enough. I was up on top of this thing, you know, jumping back and forth, and they did not move at all. They were a mistake that I turned into a really cool accent piece. This back wall is another piece that really helped tie in this whole project. It gives the sense of privacy when you're outside in this open deck area. This wall provides a great amount of shade for us during the day. I'm really happy with the color of this too. I put out on some of my groups what color I should paint this, whether I should stain it, paint it, leave it that natural color. The most popular vote was to stain it, and that's what I ended up doing. I know it's a small thing, but these curtains and the lights, they actually add so much character to this deck. The curtains frame in this area here, and you know, they just give you a great view. On this property I can see both my neighbors. Well, as long as you're not standing on the edge here, if you step back, these curtains basically make it so that you cannot see either one of the neighbor's house, which is awesome to me. It makes it feel like this area is even more of a, you know, isolated paradise. So I'd have to say by far one of my favorite features of all those, how it looks at night. The lights, the whole thing, the ambiance with this entire deck, it just looks amazing. I could not be more happy with how it turned out. This is the third tier of this deck. So this project was basically supposed to be, you know, 3 different tiers. You know, I built the benches and the fire table, the table and chairs, you know, finishing the deck, getting rid of the hot tub and putting up the pergola. Well, I'm still not done yet. Future video, I'm going to be building a hibachi grill to go here. Starting next spring, I have a plan of building a pool off the back here for a 4th tier. So look forward to seeing that. If you guys have any questions about it, you know, just hit me up in the comments. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. If you enjoyed this video, you know, like, share it, do whatever you can. Your support is greatly appreciated. If you want to see more of the stuff, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so that you can see when I do release those videos. But until next time, I'm Lane from Maker's Lane. You guys have a good one.